I want to welcome Agile XRM to the podcast. I've known the people at Agile XRM for the past 12 years. I've seen how their business process management tool can add massive value to complex organizational processes in sectors such as finance and government. If you have complex processes or a need for dialogues on the Power Platform or Dynamics 365, take a look at how this BPM tool can add value. You can find them at agilexrm.com or check out the show notes for more details. Welcome to the MVP Show. My intention is that you listen to the stories of these MVP guests and are inspired to become an MVP and bring value to the world through your skills. If you have not checked it out already, I do a YouTube series called How to Become an MVP. The link is in the show notes. With that, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is from Pune in India. He's an independent consultant and freelancer. He was first awarded his MVP in 2020. He has co-founded and is spearheading the Pune tech community, a Pune-based local user group. His experience lies in building solutions around Microsoft 365, SharePoint, Teams, Power Platform, and Azure development and implementations. You can find links to his bio and socials in the show notes for this episode. Welcome to the show, Siddharth.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for the nice introduction. Looking forward to have a very fruitful conversation here.
Good. Sid, tell me about food, family, and fun. What do they mean to you?
So I'm too much of food lover person. Okay, my wife always kind of have one thing which she is worrying about is what to make. Because I'm the only one who might be asking her. Okay, no, I wanted to have something else. What I do is I generally have some homemade food also. I do order online foods, or we went to restaurants. So always, foodie person. I make sure that I have a very good breakfast in the morning, which are like chapatis, which I call it in India. And then I would have my lunch. Sometimes I would have snacks also in the evening, and then the dinner time. So yeah, more or less 4 times food. In terms of fun, what I do is I watch, binge watching, basically some TV series, some movies. I really like to watch. I can just randomly watch any movie if I feel the description of the movie is good. I see some good reviews around that. I can just watch it. I also play cricket. We also play cricket. We also play badminton. So I do that, and I make sure that I go and 1 hour walk every day, just to keep my mind fresh and also being part of an healthy lifestyle. In family, I have my wife and 2 twins who are both are boys. Their name are Vedanansh, and they would be turning 7 this May.
Wow, that's amazing. Two twin boys, eh? How old are they?
They would be turning 7 this May.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. Very exciting. Tell me, how did you get into IT? What was that path for you?
So it was interesting because I was into commerce background, which is basically from the accounts and statistics and that kind of thing. So I did my graduation in Bachelor of Commerce, but I did my master's in computer. Okay, and I thought of first becoming a chartered accountant, but things doesn't work as we planned always. So after my graduation, my aspiration changed. I was always attracted by computers in a way. But at that time, I was just kind of playing games or watching videos and things like that. But then my roommates who were staying me when we were in the hostel life, they were mostly into computer background. So in a way, when they were talking computer language, I was more interested in it. And then I thought, I might do my master's in computer. It might be a bit difficult, but who knows what will work. Because I love computer, it was, I would say, not that easy part, but at least I was able to understand the base of how to use the operating system, And I was also using some of the softwares to, record videos, edit photos, and things like that. So it helped me doing that. So I did my master's in computers, and that is how I ended up into IT field.
Wow. Wow. And how did you ultimately end up working with Microsoft Technologies?
That's a funny story. So, as a part of my last master's internship, we were pre-placed into a company called MNC company. Let's not name it, but it was, and wherein as an internship, what they do is they basically divide the batch of the people into either going into Java development or they're going into .NET development. Uh, Luckily for me, when I did my master's, my project which we did it on .NET. Okay, so I was more inclined towards .NET rather than Java. And luckily, I went into the .NET stream. So I worked in the .NET stream, which was then that's how I connected to the Microsoft technology stack. And from that company, when I did a jump to another company, when I moved from Bangalore to Pune also, they hired me as a .NET developer, but then I was being aligned to a Microsoft Cloud business unit, wherein they were doing the SharePoint work, and I was being aligned to a SharePoint work, saying that okay, in a way you are going to do same .NET development which you are going to do, but it's just that rather than using any other libraries, you are going to use SharePoint libraries to do it, and that is the time wherein we had this. SharePoint custom solutions which we were building using .NET, like the custom web parts and all of that stuff. So it was a easy path for me to move because eventually the library changed, the classes changed, and I was able to grab the concept of SharePoint. And from there on, it was always SharePoint. So I worked on SharePoint most 2007, 2010, 2016, and eventually to SharePoint Online, and then also moved to all other areas like Teams app development, Power Platform, of course, and Azure development, and that's how I ended up in Microsoft 365.
So I find it interesting that you're a freelancer, because and why I'm keen to know what made you become a freelancer, an independent contractor. What took you on that journey rather than working for a corporation?
Yeah. So I had always this thing that might be doing something independently in the near future. So 4 years back, when I was working for the MNC, and because of my wife was also working, she was also a .NET developer, but she was into banking domain. We both of were working, and we had twins. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to have somebody at home. Who has to take care of that, and she was doing that from long back, and it was for me wherein I took a sabbatical leave from my job, and I thought of start exploring myself in terms of if I can do this, if I cannot do this, will I be able to get the clients or not? And that worked well. And eventually, I thought that, yeah, this might be a good option to explore rather than joining some other company. I might continue this path. And that's how, I may come into independent consulting freelancing journey. I see the LinkedIn might still say independent consulting freelancing, but right now I'm running an agency called Binary Roots here in Pune, India itself, where we have a team of around 21 people who does this kind of provides this Microsoft 365 services. So being from independent consultant to agency owner also, it's an interesting journey. I still keep that same for a couple of obvious reasons. LinkedIn is a platform where many people are finding this kind of independent consultants and freelancer where they wanted to have something associated with the project rather than somebody who is tagged to a founder or someone. That helps me bring business, get the conversation started, and eventually be transparent to them that okay, I'm not an independent person. I can work, I can do the consulting, I can do the development, but I have my team, and depending on what you needed, we might involve somebody else, or I might get involved.
Okay, this is interesting. So Binary Roots is your company.
Correct.
Your agency. Okay, this is cool.
Yes.
So you got 20 odd staff working for you now. You built that up. Has that just been in the last 4 years you built that up?
It has been from last 3 years.
3 years.
Less than 3 years.
Okay, that's impressive. Tell me, how do you find your customers, or how do your customers find you? How do you constantly get new work? Is that work coming just from within India, or are you getting it from further afield, international work?
Most of the customers are outside of India. So we have customer base in mostly in US. We have customer base in Australia, and also in Canada. A couple of customers in Canada, and some few of them are from Dubai and UAE side. So we do have Indian customers also, but more or less eventually it would be a B2B relationship wherein and we would be ending up doing some work, for the offshores itself. Now coming to finding the work, so we do use Upwork, which was basically my primary source of getting the projects. And then LinkedIn, of course, is a very good platform, wherein through which we get business. People approach directly on the LinkedIn, considering the involvement we do within the community, blogs which we would have written, or some speaking which we would have done in the conferences where they might have to do something similar. So that is one way of getting the business. And of course, as a part of being, community and getting involved in the community, you get these contacts, and sometimes word of mouth, or somebody getting connected with somebody that, hey, he's this person who is doing that job. That also helps us, getting the clients.
Interesting. That's so intriguing. Do you find that LinkedIn is a better source than Upwork, or do you find Upwork is where you get a lot of your primary work?
Upwork is a lot of where we get the primary work. The reason being, that is the place wherein I do see, as part of the job posting, I do see people would have actual job requirements which they are posting there, right? Wherein I can go and approach them that, okay, this is what I can help you with. Versus in the LinkedIn, people would have to come to me whenever they had requirement, depending on, right time and right place. So there will be many times wherein the project would have come, or they would have approached us, but because I might have not replied, or I might have replied at the right time, the project would have been converted. But Upwork is basically the main source of getting the projects. Yeah. And then, of course, once we have that relations in the Upwork, so we have, like around 10 to 12 clients who are our regular clients, so which keeps on giving us the work. So that makes, a little bit easier, that once you create that rapport, once you build that relationship with your customers, you deliver it good, and then, they just kind of rely on us, and they keep on passing the work.
Yeah, nice. I've just looked up your profile on Upwork, and I can see you've had 100% job satisfaction.
Yes.
And done over coming up on 9,000 hours of work on Upwork. That's pretty phenomenal. That's a really good profile. Really stand out. I use Upwork a lot myself. I've used Upwork for maybe 15 years, and my biggest project that I did on Upwork, I didn't do it. Somebody did it for me. Is that back in the day before Microsoft Teams, there was a thing called Skype for Business, and I had a person, I think he might have been in Indonesia or might have been the Philippines. He might have been the Philippines, and he did my full IVR setup, full professional implementation of that. And he went on to grow a massive company just specializing, I think, in Microsoft Teams now, but just in doing remote implementations of Skype for Business back in the day. So it was pretty impressive. So I use Upwork a lot.
Yeah, it's a good platform. It's a very good platform. Eventually, most of the clients I ended up with, which had a long relationship, it was via Upwork. Okay, of course, there were a few in the LinkedIn also, but most of them via Upwork also. And it has been a good platform in terms of wherein you get real clients. Definitely there are other platforms also there, but in here you get the real clients who knows the importance of quality of work, and they are also paying enough, rather than just coming for cheap work.
Yeah. No, as in, I definitely wouldn't say it's cheap work. But yeah, as in all my podcast editing, PowerPoint presentations that I have done, video editing, generally I outsource it all to Upwork.
Right,
It's
right,
so, it's so good. So been very beneficial over time. So tell me if I've got this right. So basically you were getting so much work through that channel that you then started hiring your own people.
exactly. Yes, that's what I do. Yeah.
And do they predominantly work remotely, or do you have an office, or what's the story for them?
We had, I mean, initially we were working remotely only from last almost more like 18 months or 19 months or so. We have an office. So we have office in Pune also, and we have office in Mehsana, Gujarat, which is another city. So my brother-in-law is my business partner. He was a PHP developer, and he was doing small PHP gigs, creating some games around it and everything. And I knew the power of the Power Platform and the way the Power Platform was getting the popularity. So what I did is I trained him. I asked him to start learning Power Apps and everything. And I took his help, and then we started. I onboarded him as a business partner itself. So now we have office in Pune, and we have office in Mehsana also, where all of them, coming. There are a couple of people who are working remotely, but most of them are working from office only.
Yeah, very good. In the Power Platform side of things, are you doing Power Automate, Power Apps? What's your biggest area of work that you're doing in those spaces?
Mostly we do Power Apps and Power Automate based work, and that too specifically so we specialize in the Canvas app. I mean, we do know model driven app and a basic of Dynamics 365 and everything, but we cannot say that we are expert in that. But Canvas app, I can definitely say we have a very good team, we have good skills. Where we do all kind of business process automation for the client, like creating, request management application like CapEx, vendor management, then travel authorization app, that kind of thing, using Power Apps and Power Automate. Yeah.
And have you done any work on Dataverse, or is all your work on SharePoint lists?
No, both. I mean, we have worked with Dataverse, we have worked with SharePoint, we have worked with SQL also, and we have also worked with custom APIs. So by creating custom connectors and creating APIs and everything. For one of our clients, we are mostly, I mean, we built around 7 to 8 apps wherein we did all of them with Dataverse for Teams. We know there is a limitation with 2 GB, but they wanted to just digitalize some of the manual processes they were doing. So wherein we do it, Dataverse for Teams based Power Apps.
Excellent. This is not meant to sound like a job interview, but it's good to know. It's good to know what your skills and capabilities are.
Yeah.
How did you end up becoming an MVP?
So when I was planning, I had been active on community, not into all the areas, but mostly I was very much active in the Stack Overflow, in the SharePoint thing when I had an expertise. So at that time I had this kind of obsession, or I just like to solve problems, and Stack Overflow was the place wherein rather than just giving the answers, what you say is you file the real world problems which other people are kind of facing it, right? And sometimes you know the answer, sometimes you don't. Sometimes what you do is you go there, you see and questions being there, and you see the answers being given by somebody else, right? And that is how you improve that. Okay, if you get a real world problem, this might be the solution. These are the things which would be there. So that's how I was active just in this Stack Overflow. But once I was into sabbatical leave, and once I started learning, SharePoint Online, what I wanted to do some practical use cases, because as part of my job, we were still working on premises, so I didn't had a chance to work on online. Okay, we did some initiative to bring, do some POCs or proof of concept to show the capability of online, but eventually it didn't work out. So as part of learning, what I did, I started building some solutions around SharePoint using SPFX and some sample scripts and all of that. And then I started contributing to Microsoft 365 community, which was called as PNP community previously. And that is where, I started my journey. So I started writing blogs and contribute to these repos like SPFX web part. I started giving demos in the PNP community calls, which has been organized like weekly twice as a part of Power Platform community call and SPFX community call. That's where I started giving all of this. And eventually, I started attending the conferences because I used to attend conferences, but not that frequent. But I started attending the conferences, and that's where I also felt that looking to the other people who were the speakers, and that's where I felt that I also might have something which I can also share, with the people. And that's when I started applying for speaking at the conferences, and I got some opportunities to speak and everything. And eventually, as part of this community initiative, I ended up meeting some community friends. You might know Nandip. He was on your show a couple of months back. We met and we started this Pune Tech community where we started organizing and all of that stuff. That is when Nandip said that that you are doing very good, and he nominated me, and I was been awarded.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. If you like the show and want to be a supporter, check out buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy. Thanks again, and see you next time.